Alright guys, today is translations. That should be in your note packet. What you have here are the three exercises off of your note packet, and a translation, if you remember from the section before, is another word for a slide. Alright, so I'm just going to put that right up top here. A translation is a slide. Okay? And what we're going to do is take each one of these figures. I've got a point P right here, and I've got a triangle right here, and I've got some weird looking shape right here, and I'm going to translate them with the use of this arrow and this arrow and this arrow. And we're going to give those arrows names. We're going to call these vectors. Okay, so this guy right here is called a vector. Now, the first thing we're going to start doing is a translation without the coordinate plane. Alright, if you look ahead in your note packet, you have something like this. Alright, the coordinate plane there. But we're not going to do that quite yet. We're going to do it without the coordinate plane. And we're just going to slide this point according to this vector. Alright, and if we had to name this vector, we'd call it vector xy. And I always start at the end without the arrow, because it says I'm starting here and I'm going through point y, and that means I'm going on to the end of this arrow. Okay, so if I name this vector, it's going to be xy, and I always start at the base or the non-arrow end and extend through to the arrow. Alright? Now, in order to do these translations, I really can't do this on this sheet, so we have to do it a little different way. Alright guys, so here's your note packet, and what I want to do is translate this point P right here, and I want to translate it along this vector. So I'm going to use a piece of tracing paper. I know that's kind of hard to see, but I actually do have a piece of tracing paper there, and I put it over top. And what I can do with this tracing paper is transfer this point P onto the tracing paper, okay? And I can also transfer this vector onto the tracing paper as well. Alright, and what that does for me is it allows me to take my tracing paper, and what I'm going to do is take this point right here, the end of this vector, and I'm going to slide this right in the same direction until the end of that vector gets to be to the point of the arrow of that vector. So now I know I've slid, or I've translated this point P right here, the same distance as that vector and the same direction. Alright, so then I just have to transfer that point, okay, and if I'm really good, I can take my pencil and I can just go underneath there and put a dot right where that is. Go over to my paper, and right there, that is going to be P prime. Alright, that's going to be my new point, P prime. So it's that easy. Okay, if I slide up to this triangle, well, I want to do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to take my tracing paper and I'm going to trace right over the triangle with my pencil. And I'm also going to trace this vector. Alright, and that's where I want to slide it. So I take this point that's at the end, right at X, and I'm going to slide my tracing paper down this vector until I get to the arrow right there. Now, notice my triangle has been slid or translated that same distance. Okay? And then I do the same thing. I pick up my tracing paper just a little bit and I kind of transfer I take this point here and this point here and this point here, and I transfer them to that page behind it, and there I've transferred the image. Okay, it's really the same thing every single time. Alrighty, and I go do the third one and do the same thing. I'm going to move my tracing paper over a little bit so that I can, this is a very long vector, so I'm going to trace the whole vector just like that with my pencil. Okay, and I'm going to come down here, I'm going to trace the shape. It's got a little curve to it. But I do the exact same thing. I just take this point and I slide it all the way until I get to that arrow right there. And right there, that is where my new shape, my new image is going to be. So I'd take each of these points, these corners, and I would transfer them to the next page. Let me move that over a little bit. There it is. I'm going to transfer them over to the page below. Okay, we're using my tracing paper, and that would give me the image of that translation.
Alright guys, now let's go on to exercise 4, and you notice I turned my background a different color here so I could see this coordinate plane a little better. Okay, you have that on your sheet, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on both directions, and -1 through 10, -10, and -1 through -10 down here. And what they want me to do, let's dive right into exercise 4 here. They want me to graph point X, which is at 4, 7. Alright, so I'm just going to underline that. So I'm going to go over the coordinate plane, and I'm going to graph 4, I'm going to go over 4 and up 7. Alright, and right there looks like 4, 7. I'm going to put a dot there, and I'm going to say that is point X. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that is point X, and what they want me to do right here, I'm going to underline it, they want me to translate it 2, 4. Alright, and all that is saying is I want to move 2 in the X direction, and I want to move 4 in the Y direction. Okay, not a very good Y there. Let me fix that. Where's my undo button, my favorite button? There we go. I'm going to put a Y there. Alright, so if I start at point X and I move a positive 2 in the X direction, that means I move to the right 2, and I move a positive 4 in the Y direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm actually going to be off the coordinate plane there. Alright, so I'd be up 1 more. Alright, and that's really all it is. Okay, and I'm going to label that one X prime. Alright, so I start at X, and my image is X prime. That little hash mark, that means prime. Okay, I could do the same thing with this one here, exercise 5. A is -2, 4, so I'm going to go over to the left 2 and up 4. I'm going to put a little dot there, and I'm going to call that A. Alrighty, B is -2, 0, so that is over to the left 2, and I go up or down 0, that's B. And C is -5, -1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down 1, and there is going to be C, and I can connect those with a line, straight up this line, and then straight down, and there's my triangle. There's triangle ABC. Alright, now they want me to translate it -5, 8. Alright, and again, this is what I'm going to do in the X direction, and this is what I'm going to do in the Y direction. Okay, so that simply means I take each one of these points and I move it. Let's move A first. Alright, we're going to move A -5 in the X direction, and I'm going to go up 8, and that starts out at 4. So if I go up 8, actually I'm going to go off the coordinate plane again. It's going to be way up here. Alright, that's going going to be A prime. Alright? And if I move this one, I'm going to go over 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright? So again, it's just you're sliding the whole figure. Alright, now so let's take C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's where C goes. Alright? And if I connect it, now that should be the same exact size as my original. Here's my original, and here's my image. Notice I labeled each of these with a prime. A prime, B prime, and C prime. Okay? Let me clear out what I have. Okay guys, I'm ready to do exercise 6, and exercise 6 has a rectangle, E, F, G, H, so I'm going to go ahead and plot those. Okay, so I went ahead and I skipped ahead and I plotted that rectangle, and they want me to translate it. Right here they tell me 4, -6. So again, that is what I'm moving in my x direction, and that is what I'm moving in the y direction. Sorry, that's a -6, but I'm moving it in the y direction. So let's take each one of these and move it to the right 4. That's what that 4 means, and down 6. All right. So actually, let me change over a color. All right, and we'll do this in blue. And I can take each one of these and move it over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And oh, I don't want that there though. I want to move it down 6 as well. Okay, so I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right there. That's going to be, since it was E, that is going to be E prime. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these. We've done a few already, so 2, 3, 4, and down 6 is going to be right here. That's G prime, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right there. Okay, and H is going to be go to H prime right there. Alright, so again I can connect it. That is the same size and the same shape, but it's been shifted or slid down to its new position. Alright, so if you can do translations using the tracing paper like I did, or on the coordinate plane here, you should be good to go for tomorrow. So thanks for listening, and have a good night.